Hi, trumpet player. Thanks for joining me today. I'm happy to be with you. Today I'm going to share 7 maxims of trumpet playing. I'm excited to share this with you. These are thoughts and ideas that I've adopted over time that I use to remind me to help myself do a good job or to calm down or whatever I need in the moment. And I wanted to share these things with you. Um, after this short lesson, I'm going to hang out today and answer some questions if you have questions. I like to keep the questions about the subject, if at all possible. And I'm back today because I had a good time with you, 2 days ago here on live, but I didn't get to hang out like I normally would like to. So, with that said, if you're here, say hello. In the comment section, say hello. And and I'll put your name on the screen. All right. So I have the first maxim right here on the screen already. And give me a second to reorganize myself. All right. So the first maxim is simply keep the horn on your face. Now, this is important because what we're doing is we're changing our body for trumpet playing. I wrote this down. I wrote some notes for myself. Keep the horn in your face. All this means is practice more often than you don't. And I have a reason for using that language. A lot of people will say practice every day, and we do need to practice every day. The benefits are better if we do. Um, but this is like a psychological game that I play with myself because I learned that when we mess up, and we will mess up because we're human, like what happens when you do miss a day of practice? Now, for most people, that'll end up turning into 2 days of practice missed. And you don't want to go down that path. So I say, keep the horn on your face. This is a two-sided coin. And all this means is practice more often than you don't. I wrote, there are unnecessary pressures that we put on ourselves to practice every day. So something's going to come up with the family or with work or something unexpected. All right. And when that happens, how do you respond to it? All right. So that's why I say keep the horn in your face. Now, the next point is uh, I wrote this: too many people are looking for instant results. So, whatever your goal is, fill in the blank on what your goal is. Most people will practice for a few weeks, a few days, a few weeks, and then they'll say, things haven't changed. Things haven't got better yet. I sound the same or I sound worse. Honestly, you haven't put enough time in yet to reach your goal. So I say keep the horn on your face. All right, because the instant gratification, that's not how the trumpet works. You have to put time in, and time can be months and years. That's what it is to play the horn. You're in this for a long time. All right. And now, if you want to accelerate your results, you need to get a teacher. All right. But it's still going to take time, even with the teacher. So the first maxim is keep the horn in your face. All right. All right. Now my comments are finally coming in. And I see you guys. This program I use is a tab behind. So I see what's up, Chris from email 606. I know that's Tony. What's up, Tony? It's good to see you. Thanks for coming in. And I see Dottie here. Hi, Dottie. All right. I'm going to keep on with the lesson. If y'all have questions, write them in the comments as they come up. All right. If at all possible, keep it to the subject at hand. All right. So the next maxim that I have for you is similar to the first. It's simply to maintain a balanced practice routine. Now, remember, what we're doing when we practice is we're training the body for trumpet playing. We're training the body for trumpet playing. I'm going to say that one more time. We're training the body for trumpet playing. Now, the act of playing trumpet is unnatural. It's an unnatural physical act. And the transformation happens slowly over time. I was just talking about this when for the first maxim. So what we develop needs to be maintained through a regular practice routine. And now, why do we need to do this? Because the transformation that you do occur, it's lost. It's lost faster than the time it took you to get over that challenge. So just to maintain, we need to have a certain level of practice. And the best way to maintain is through a balanced trumpet routine. All right. So that's the second maximum. Maintain a balanced practice routine. All right. Next maximum. I'm just going to move on through these. Uh, Here's one that I love to talk about. My body is the primary instrument. So this simply means whatever I'm trying to accomplish in the trumpet can and should be first performed with the body. And I'm talking physically and I'm talking mentally. So sometimes thinking about a thing before you do it can really take you far. Um, and then physically, there are certain things that we can do with our body before we put it into the horn. Like one time I was at a job and I was playing with another trumpet player, and I noticed he was just fingering through some things and blowing. I just saw him going. So I asked him about, hey, what are you doing? Why are you blowing your wind like that? And he told me he likes to practice the wind patterns before he plays it on the trumpet for the first time, and that's something that he learned from Professor William Felder. And I said, that's smart. That makes sense. So I had practiced some variation of that, but I just liked the way he presented it to me. And we talked about it further, but that's just one example. So the body's the primary instrument. Sometimes you have a challenge on the trumpet, and you naturally just hack away at the horn and try it over and again. And what you're really doing is you are practicing bad habits, and that's really what you're putting inside of yourself. But if you just pause, slow up for a minute, think about what you're trying to accomplish, use your body somehow to produce the result first. Another example is by singing, for example. That's another small example. Produce the result with your body first. Normally, things are more easygoing that way, and you stand a better chance when you finally do pick up the trumpet. All right. So my body is the primary instrument. This is one I love to remind myself and my students of all the time. All right. The next maxim is flexibility is the master key to trumpet playing. Now, this is something, unfortunately, that I'm just learning in my adult years. Now, don't misunderstand me. I had teachers growing up that taught me that I need to practice long tones and lip slurs, and I did. But there's something almost magical that changes when you know why you're doing something, or when you have a better understanding of the material that you're practicing. So I say flexibility is the master key to trumpet playing. And the reason I say that is to to play a slur well, there are three types of flexibility. But let's just talk about slurs briefly. So to play a slur well, there needs to be a coordination of wind and tongue. That's how you play a slur well. Those things must be in coordination. So um, there's a certain level of time. There's a certain amount of time that one needs to take just to play a G to a C in the staff, and just to learn where those tongue levels are, and to not use too much of your muscles in your body to get that result. Just to learn, where do I need to blow? How much force do I need in my wind? Where's the tongue level for each of these notes? This flexibility is the master key. So whatever your challenge is, the most common challenges, you know what they are. Saying with me: endurance and range. Those are the two most common challenges for trumpet players. Those two challenges can be solved by practicing flexibility. All right. So flexibility is the master key. Let's see here. All right. Sometimes I forget to say things, and I don't remember to after I get off the live. I'm like, oh man, I meant to say this. So I was just taking a moment to look at my notes to myself. All right, flexibility is the master key to trumpet playing. Let's go to the next maxim, which is consider others better than yourselves. Now, I come to this conclusion over time because over the years, I've played with some pretty arrogant people. All right. There's no better way to say that. but I've also played with some very generous people, some very humble people. And without fail, the humble people are always better to work with, and their music sounds better. All right. And right away, a scripture comes to mind. I pulled it up. I'm going to read it. Here it is. I'm going to read it real quick. And you know what else? I think I might be able to share my screen with you. Give me a second. How do I share my screen? Sorry about this. Now that I'm live, all of my controls look different. Okay, I'm not going to fuss with this right now. I'm just going to read this scripture to you. It is Philippians chapter 2, verse 3 and 4. And it says, don't be selfish. Don't try to impress others. That part right there. Be humble, thinking of others as better than yourselves. Don't look out only for your own interests, but take an interest in others too. All right. So when I read this scripture, I thought about being the musician that I am, and I like to apply that to what I do. So there's a lot to say about that. But just over time, I see the ego involved, and there's a mentality of, oh, I'm going to chop his head, I'm going to cut his head. You know, that's old school. I've heard people talk like that. And you go out and you try to, whatever it's worth, just, I don't know, just play a lot of notes and try to embarrass somebody. I was never down with that. Now, there's something, you can make good music that way, but it's always better if you're coming from a place of sharing. And I want to say this too, even if you are better in skill than another player, it doesn't even matter. What's it good for? So your role is to help your bandmate and support him and help him or her to be their best on the stage. And that's how you guys have a great experience collectively. There's this author that I like. He's not alive anymore, but his name is Wallace D. Wattles, and he teaches on the competing mind or the competitive mind. And he said the competitive mind prevents you from using your creative mind, and the creative mind is really where there is no contest. There's no contest when you're pulling from the creative part of yourself because you're unique and there's nobody like you. Therefore, there's no competition. But if you're trying to be like someone else, well, that's already been done, and you're not going to be so successful with that. So consider others better than yourself. Do what you can to support your bandmates musically and otherwise, if at all possible. All right. So one more thing I wanted to say. Oh, I wrote this. If you're going to use the competitive mind at all, let it be in your planning and not in your execution. All right, unless you're competing against yourself. So forget about your ego. If you use your ego in performance, then know that you're not playing at your best. Again, you can get some good results, but it's not your best work. All right, there's another level that can be attained. All right, so that's what I'll say about that. Consider others better than yourself. All right, let's go on. Be authentic. The next maxim is be authentic to yourself and to the music. Oh man, there's so much to say about this. This is like twofold. You see people go on stage with like in sunglasses and funny looking hats. Now, some people do that because they believe that the audience wants to see that, or they believe that's what it means to be a musician. But they don't walk around like that in their everyday life. Now, if you're the type of person that walks around wearing funny hats, funny looking hats, and sunglasses, that's fine because you're being yourself. But I'm talking about not being your authentic self. And at the same time, there is another level of performance where you take who you are and you kick it up a notch. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about being inauthentic. So tell yourself the truth about where you are currently in your trumpet playing. All right. and where you are going. And then you want to also take every negative thought captive. Negative talk sounds like this: I can't fill in the blank on the scale. I can't play high notes. I can't play really cool jazz solos. I can't fill in the blank on that skill. The truth is, I can play anything I choose to play in time with practice. All right, that's something I wrote. Be yourself around others. I say this because I watched other people alter their personality based on what they thought society expected musicians to be, and that's what I was getting at when I was talking about, wearing uh, certain like hats and glasses and for the stage, but you're not really like that. What I've learned is these people live frustrated lives, and it's really a core issue of just being okay with who you are. So the music will help you if you allow it to bring that out for the best, and vice versa. Here's something. Let's talk music. Let's talk being authentic with the music. Whatever style of music you choose to play, perform it authentically. So, for example, if you're playing a gospel solo, please don't use a salsa vibrato, all right? Because that doesn't match the style. It's not authentic to the style. So, how are you going to play the style authentically? With study. You have to study. You have to learn what makes the music authentic. So, listen, do what you can to go out and be a part of the environment, all right? And then you practice to make it a part of your playing. But do your best to play whatever style you're playing authentically. All right, that's all I'll say about that. Maybe we can revisit it if you want. So be authentic to yourself and to the music. All right, next one is this last one. Practice can only take you so far. Performance will take you the rest of the way. So, one mistake that we make, and I learned this, I'll just tell you this story. I'll tell you this story. One mistake that we make is putting our performances off like so far in the future because we think that we're not ready yet, that our skill isn't where it needs to be. Now, that may be true, like your skill isn't where you want it yet. But how long does it take for you to get there? Like we're in this journey really for a lifetime. Okay? This is what I learned about performance. We want to perform as soon as possible because there are lessons that come from performing that can only come from performing. So if you're not performing, there are a lot of lessons that you're just missing. Okay? I remember my first concert as a high school band director. Oh my goodness, did I felt so I felt helpless. I felt helpless because that was my first concert where I was not performing on the trumpet myself. And something always goes something always happens unexpectedly in a performance. Um and over time you learn how to handle those things. But as excuse me, as a band director, I didn't at that point I didn't know how to handle those things as a band director. And so I learned a lot of good lessons, but one lesson that I learned is I had waited till uh like the end of the semester to have my first performance. And really now I know better. I should have had a performance like 4 weeks into the school year at least. And the reason is you learn the lessons as you perform. So it's not about being perfect, it's about growth. So with each performance, you say, this is what I've learned so far. This is what I've been practicing. And then you share it with your audience. Now your audience is going to grow with you as you develop as a musician. So your first performances aren't going to be in front of thousands and tens and hundreds of thousands of people. Your first performances are going to be with the people in your household. They're going to be for your neighbors. It's going to be a group of 5 people, 10 people, and then as your skill matures, your audience will also grow and mature with you. All right, so perform as often as you can. Get those performances in early in your development. Don't wait to be perfect because you're not going to reach your goals if you're not performing. You can practice. Practice is good. You need to practice, and you're still missing a lot if you're not performing. So if you don't have uh, places to perform, like if you live in a location where there's not a lot happening, you have to make something for yourself. Just grab your family members, invite them over, and play. You don't even have to play like 30 minutes. And again, remember, your performances grow with you. So your first performances could be a fragment of a song instead of an entire song. You can, if you're practicing exercises, then demonstrate a fragment of the exercises that you're practicing. It's just that you're performing for people. There's a different level of intensity that comes with performing. So practice only takes you so far. Performance will take you the rest of the way. And let's recap. We'll go backwards. The sixth maxim is be authentic to yourself and to the music. Uh, the fifth one, consider others better than yourselves. The next one is flexibility is the master key to trumpet playing. If you only have limited time to practice, make sure you get your flexibility studies in. All right. The next one is my body is the primary instrument. So you want to executing your body first. The trumpet will amplify what your body is producing. Maintain a balanced practice routine because you're making your body take form so that you can perform on your trumpet. That happens over time with a balanced practice routine, and that's just to maintain. We're not even talking about growth. All right, keep the horn on your face, and that was the first one. All right, so those are the maxims. Those are the 7 maxims. Let's talk. Let's talk. All right, put your questions in the chat if you haven't. What do you guys think about these maxims? What do you think about them? What are your experiences? I'm looking at the comments. Sorry to be so quiet. I'm looking at the comments. It's good to see you guys. Thank you. Let's start with this. Hi, Adam. Adam said, I love this talk of dropping negative thoughts. I tell my students the most important word in the English language is yet. Put it on the end of any sentence and feel the magic. I like that. That's good. I'm not playing great solos yet. That's good. Orville, what you talking about? Must practice performing to deal with nerves. No other way. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I love the awareness that comes from performing. There's a lot to be missed if you're not performing often. Because early in your performing, you take the stage and you're nervous, and you miss so much because you're just so nervous. You're really thinking about yourself. But when you take time to just take everything in, it can help one to settle in. What did you say again? You said I must practice performing to deal with nerves. Yeah. So the more you frequent the stage, the more comfortable you become with being on stage and all of the eyes looking at you. And then you realize, oh man, these people actually, they're cool. They want me to do well. That's great. All right. Tony said, flexibility is my worst skill. Yeah. So, you know, I think it's challenging to be flexible, but it's also the exercise that really unlocks everything. So it's worth taking things slowly and figuring out that wind tongue coordination and starting the staff and just go slowly. And with that said, there have been several times in my life where I kind of felt like, man, I'm going backwards. I've been playing trumpet for whatever, fill in the blank. I've been playing trumpet for 6 years, 7 years, 8, 9, 10, 12 years. And I have to go back and do this other thing. But it's worth it because when you learn the skill, you have it forever. It can't be taken away from you. And other things become unlocked. So yeah, take some time with that flexibility. Dottie, you say you really like the Maxims? Thanks. Especially Maxim 5, to always remain humble around those who are also on the journey. That's right. That's right. Um, I've played trumpet with some really cool musicians. One of my favorite people to share the stage with though is Orbert Davis. If you don't know who he if you don't know who he is, look him up. He's the director of the and founder of the Chicago Jazz Philharmonic. And when we make music together, it's just beautiful, man. We're just sharing musically, and we're lifting each other up. And the moment on stage with the other musicians is very it's just love, man. It's love. And then the audience, there's that interaction with the audience. It's beautiful. Jim has a great question. Are practice chops typically different from concert band chops? Yes. He says mine seem to be. Yes. That's why one needs to perform as often as you can. Because you can't develop the performance chops if you don't perform. And even if you do perform, um, there are different types of performances. So, for example, there's the studio musician. That's a certain type of playing. There's the concert band musician. There's the orchestra musician. There's the pit musician or the Broadway musician. Um, there's the brass band musician. All of those are different types of playing. So it's totally possible to be fit for one of those types of playing and not the other type. And another great example I like to talk about is Michael Jordan. Remember when Michael Jordan retired from basketball? He played Major League Baseball for a time. If you watch The Last Dance, they actually talked about this for a little bit. How he was already a really fit person because he was a professional basketball athlete. However, he was not in baseball shape. So he had to change his body for baseball. And that took time. And then he returned to basketball. So the same thing happened in reverse. He was still in shape as a person, but he was not in basketball shape. And oh my goodness, as a Bulls fan in the '90s, oh man, I was so upset when Byron, what was that guy's name? Byron on the Magic, he stole the basketball from Michael. He was just he wasn't in shape for basketball after playing baseball. So yeah, there's definitely such a thing as being in shape for concert band and being in shape for practice for sure. Hey, if this is helping you, take a minute and click the like button so more people can find this video. All right, thank you. All right, let's see here. Queen says, nerves. I have more nerves playing in front of peers than a whole room of strangers. Hey, that's true. I can relate to that. I can relate to that. That's all I can say about that. I can relate to that. Yeah. All right. What did Anthony say? You're right, Chris. When I started with my teacher, she wanted me to play in a band after my first lesson. Yeah. That sounds like a good teacher to me, Anthony. That's right. I didn't know that in my early years of teaching. So I told you about that first concert I had as a band director. I waited till like the end of the semester for the first concert. Um, but after I learned that lesson, what I would do, I would just bring in the principal. I would bring in like teachers from the hallway, and I would have them sit or stand in the band room for a minute just to listen to us perform a song for them. We have been working. So get that performance in quick as you can. All right. So yeah, I got a question. Do you like the Irons 27 book on flexibility? I don't know what 27 is specifically, as I sit here, but I do like the Irons book in general. And there was a time where I used it a lot. Orville says, Orville says, practice versus performance. Mm-hmm. Easy to use perfect technique in the basement. Harder in public. Yeah, because there's a pressure to perform. One needs to learn to relax in performance. But again, your awareness is heightened. So you have to learn how to focus that. And that's a skill that needs to be developed that comes from performing. Harder in public. Breathing gets harder. Yes, breathing does. Yes. So I got a story to share with you. So way back in high school, I had a goal, dare I call it a dream, to perform at Symphony Center. Uh, so that's Chicago's version of what do y'all call it? Help me out, y'all. Carnegie Hall. That's Chicago's version of Carnegie Hall. Matter of fact, the rooms almost look identical. So I finally got to play that room, and it was cool. But I played another room, auditorium theater, and the seats they just went up to the ceiling, and it was a full house. And I was just taking it all in, man. But I was performing, and I was out that day. I was with Orbit Davis again, and I was with my first private lesson teacher. He was on my left, and we were trading trumpet solos. And I was just so excited. I was so excited to play with Orbit, and then my first teacher. Like I looked up to these guys. I got them started, and so we were playing. We were trading solos. I was so excited. I was so excited that I just stopped breathing, man. And this was recorded. I was playing the solo, and all of a sudden, I just like fall back. I didn't fall on the floor, but my line. I was playing the line, and it just fizzed out. It sounded like somebody just turned the volume down on the radio, and that was a result of shallow breathing. But it was also a result of not drinking water. Um, my second born son was a baby. He was just born that very same month, so I wasn't sleeping. And I remember that particular day I didn't eat, so it was a combination of all of that. And so all that to say, in a performance, one needs to learn how to navigate all that. And even before you hit the stage, you got to put yourself in a good position to do a good job. So had I had a meal, had I been drinking water, had I got proper sleep, I could have prevented all that. See, and you learn those lessons as you perform. All right, Dottie, what you talking about? Dottie says performing forces you to practice more. That's true. You have something to work towards, something to look to. And that's exciting. You said I had the experience when I played flute in high school. Good. Sounds like you had a good teacher. All right. So Tony says, how can I practice my flexibility again? All right. So just go back to the beginning. You there's this Claude Gordon book. There's this Claude Gordon book. I forget which one, but I take the time to read these books. Like in the beginning, there's instructions. You know what? It might have been his physical approach, but don't quote me on that. But I remember it being like a very simple exercise, and he said, "Do it until you get the knack for shifting between these two notes." So in general, people ask me questions like, how long should I do this particular exercise? I know what you guys mean, but it's kind of a frustrating question because you do it until you get it. And I was kind of talking about that earlier. Keep the horn in your face, the first maxim. So in general, there's this instant gratification that people desire so much, which is a result of the world we live in. Trumpet does not work that way. And so when it comes to learning a skill, it takes as long as it takes. And one has to be okay with that. Now, there are things you can do to accelerate the pace, which is again keep the horn in your face. So if you increase the time that you practice, then you can get there quicker. Hire a teacher that you see regularly, that can help. Simply pay attention to what you're doing, that can help. Have conversations with others about what you're working toward, that can help. So how can I practice my flexibility again? If you want to go to a place where it's simple. If that's easy for you, then you can go on. And just go slowly, note by note by note by note by note. Now, something else that helped me um, way back when is when I was able to add some speed to the note, because I learned that when I was able to add speed to the note, it was like a similar motion to going higher. I think a better way to say that is adding speed to the note helped me to know that I truly had control. And that's again, that's internal. So that goes back to maxim number 3, which is my body is the primary instrument. So when I was able to add speed, I knew, oh, this is all happening here. From to all right, and that's in the body first. All right, so I was able to slowly add speed, and that gave me the confidence to know, oh, I can control this. I can control this, and it's not about controlling the horn. It's me. I'm adding the ability to control myself, and the horn reflects that. All right, now I want to have like a more conversation about this. All right, are there any more questions? Sounds like Anthony had a similar situation. No drinking water. Oh yes, I was doing a recital, had no water, wasn't nervous, but then my mouth went dry and I could barely play. Yep, yep, that happens. All right, if you have more questions, type them now. I'm going to take a pause for a second. I want to tell you about something that we're working out. Got a new program. Been working on this for really many years, but in recent months, I've been interviewing you guys. Some of you have met with me, and we talked about this. And based on those conversations, based on the private lessons, based on the interviews, based on the challenges, the workshops, all of it, got a new program. It's called the Returning Trumpet Player Method, and it's your blueprint to master endurance, extended range, building confidence, and more. The and more part actually is the improvisation. Um, I don't go too much into improvisation on this channel, but I'm going to do it in the program because you told me that's what you want. So we're going to be doing that. This program is for the comeback trumpet player, and there's an age requirement. You got to be at least 50 years old. you must be a combat trumpet player. Those are the requirements. And it's a good group of people. We got people coming on slowly. I'm getting more. I was already excited just as I was making it, but now that I know like the people in it, I'm that much more excited. So there's a total of 20 slots available, and there's even less now. Maybe there's 10 at this point. Approximately 10 slots are left. So if this is something that you're even interested to learn more about, you must apply. All right, and then we'll meet and I'll talk with you and see if the program can actually help you based on your personal goals. All right, so the link is in the description below. Click it, set up an appointment, and fill out that application, and we'll take it from there. But this coming week is the last week to register. After that, I'm going to cut it because I'm going to prepare for the people who enrolled, and after that, I'm not making any alterations to the roster. All right, so you're going to get the opportunity to work with me closely. All right, so we got the returning trumpet player method, your blueprint to master endurance, extend range, build your confidence on stage, and more. I'm looking forward to that. Are there no more questions? I like talking to y'all. All right, if you learned anything that helped you, do me a favor, click the like button so that other people can find this in the future. All right. Thanks for spending time with me today. Had a good time with you, and I'll see you next live. Take care. God bless.